Hi, everyone, and welcome to Serious Shenanigans. This is the Let's Talk channel on YouTube. And this is Quentin, our producer. I'm Valerie Lorraine, and I'm very excited tonight to welcome a very special guest, Nemo Some Words. How you doing tonight, Quentin?
I'm good. How's everything going? I was I was looking at the promotion for the show, and I must say to you, you found Nemo. How did that happen?
I did. I found Nemo.
How did that
It
happen?
was a search. I called the search Finding Nemo.
Okay, okay. So tell us about Nemo.
All right. All right. So Nemo Some started writing poetry as a way of fighting his mood disorder. He now shares and performs his poetry to offer catharsis to his audience. Together, they acknowledge the mental and emotional trauma in their lives while pushing back against the darkness and isolation that's inherent with such trauma. I am the paper warrior. I fight the wind, he says. During his
Great, great.
20 years working in technology, Nemo needed to write tight, efficient code. He now uses this ability to write micropoetry, concise and impactful short poems. He is proud to be a member and workshop facilitator for the Guerrilla Poets, a nonprofit group of artists bringing art education to their community. There are a few things he enjoys more than cooking and baking with his kids. You can find him on Instagram at Nemo underscore some underscore words, and some is spelled SUM. You can download his first book, Into the Exclusion Zone, and find his social media links at www.nemosomwords.com.
So
And
this,
that
so
is
ne-
his
so Nemo,
bio.
so Nemo is number 3 on the list. So I know
This
you got
is
a,
the
I know you got a
success.
list of poets. So number 3 is a special number for Nemo.
Yes. And I would just like to say that that is his bio. So, of course, I read it straight off, but um, Nemo is an intriguing artist. He's somebody who I have completely enjoyed listening to his poetry. One piece of his poetry actually inspired me to write a poem. I find his work fascinating. I think that he's going to be a great guest tonight. I can't wait to dig in and chat with him, and at the end have some shenanigans.
Well, it's going to be an interesting night. We shall see. Without
We
further
shall.
ado.
Hey, I'm having trouble hearing you, unfortunately. Did I? Yeah, oh, I, well, so I guess this is going
You heard me,
out. So,
Nemo?
yeah, I can
Nemo,
hear you now.
her,
Yeah.
her, her technology has kicked Val out again,
Oh, no.
unfortunately, which is a very
Okay.
interesting thing that just happened. She'll be back. She's
Okay.
got you. So now you can sit there and talk to the invisible man.
Okay. All right. Hello, Invisible Man. How does it feel being
ah,
invisible?
great, great.
Great.
I'm just gonna say it straight up. That's annoying as shit. That's the second week it's
Yeah.
happened to me. I'm not
Yeah.
sugarcoating nothing. That was
No. Yeah. Technology can be fun.
right. That
Yeah.
was jokes right there.
Right. That was the technology gods Joking,
Yeah, right.
right?
They're like, lady. I'm like, I'm back.
That's great.
So my question that nobody could lip read from me was, how you doing, Nemo?
Good, good. I'm doing well. I'm excited to be here.
Well, I can't thank you enough for joining us. I'm super excited to dive into chatting with you and, really getting to know you on a different level. As I always tell my guests, like we know each other through IG and doing lives, and everybody has a queue, and you have to be mindful of who's up next and how many people are in the queue, and you really don't get a chance to do a deep dive with somebody on open mic. So I'm very happy to be able to do the show and have you with us tonight.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So tell us about Nemo.
Well, I guess that could have two meanings. And we'll start with the literal one. Nemo is Latin for no one. And it's sort of it's a joke going all the way back to Captain Nemo on the submarine in 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. It's Captain Nobody. Finding Nemo, kind of a joke. It's finding nobody. So Nemo sum means I am in Latin. So Nemo sum is I am nobody.
Right.
And it started out as actually kind of as a joke. We're talking about jokes tonight. I put it on my license plate as a personalized license plate because I spent all this time in traffic and I would be trying to figure out what this license plate meant. And I would sometimes be behind the same person day after day, just trying to figure out what that meant. And then I ended up being something like real estate person. And I'm like, oh, it was so disappointing. I finally cracked it, and inside is
it's
something.
nothing.
So I decided it would be funny to put in Latin, I am nobody, on my license plate. And so if anybody ever figured out that it was Latin and looked it up, it would be a joke.
Right.
But I started driving around town with I am nobody on the back of my car. And I found all of a sudden that it felt really empowering. It felt like I could step away from a lot of the expectations that I had when I was put on me when I was younger, right? I could kind of step back from those things and I could just be myself. I am nobody. I can begin there. And when people ask me, sometimes it's on my arm right here. And when people ask me, sometimes at the grocery store, what does that mean? I say it is simultaneously a statement of humility, I am nobody, and defiance. I am not that person that you think I am. So it's kind of the name. So I guess I started there, and then at the larger, I've been writing poetry for the last 4 years after a very long break that I took to get serious about my career. It was a dark time, but I started writing again, and I had an experience where someone was helped by one of my poems. And it was a sort of a transformative moment when I realized that my poetry could be received by other people, if that makes sense.
It does. It's very comforting because when we write poetry, it is for us. We wrote it. It is for us. But once we put it out to the community, to readers or listeners, it becomes theirs. And I always say, like, I have a poem that I wrote about my dog, but nobody, the way I wrote it, nobody would know it's about a dog. And when I put it out there, you know, it's like if if somebody thought in that poem, like that's about my husband or my grandma or what, like, you know, that is what they can take from it. So when people ask me what my poetry is about, sometimes they don't mind saying, but there's certain poems where I'm like, you know, because you don't want to take that then away from that person who needed
Yeah,
that poem as for their
absolutely.
grandma or whatever, and then say, well, it's about my dog. And they're like, oh,
Right,
that just ruined it for me.
right.
But I kind of went left there. But
Oh,
basically I was saying, like, you know, it is so beautiful when somebody connects with your writing and it is relevant to them in whatever way, you know, however, whatever level they needed it at. And it's just heartwarming that our words mean something to somebody. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I feel you on that one. Um, so how did you get into poetry then? Like what brought you to write poetry?
Well, it started the same way both times. When I was 15, I was living with a bunch of college students in a campus in Italy, and I found it very frustrating because I couldn't really talk to anybody. 19-year-olds don't really want to chat with a 15-year-old about life and stuff. So I found myself unable. I wanted to say all of these things. And so I was walking down the street and past the stationery store, grabbed a notebook, and why did I start writing poetry? I don't know. I don't know, but that's what I needed to get out. That's what happened. I just started putting it down because I had words that needed to be said. And I guess there's a gray area at some point. What's poetry? What's prose? What's,
Right.
just short fiction versus what would be a poem? But I feel like the poetry is the playing with words, the doing more than just these are the words I want to say, but really, the rhyme or the meter or the double meanings, the personifications, the metaphors, etc. It's powerful, but it's also a game. It's also a puzzle that we put together, I think, and it's a game we play together.
Very much so. Would you
Yeah,
consider yourself a freestyle poet?
I guess so. I don't tend to I've got a few rhyme and meter, but mostly I would say free form. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Whatever I'm being moved by at that time, I think.
I can relate to that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, before we hear one of your pieces, could you let me know, like, so I'm familiar with some of your work and I'm a big fan. So, but my question is, like, how do you bring your vulnerability into your poetry?
Wow. That's a great question. I think that part of the nature of the poetry itself is that it comes from that deepest part of the child, what we call an inner child. It's the vulnerability flows from there, and it is that part of me's desire or need to be heard that brings the poetry out in the first place.
Mm,
I have to be courageous enough to go ahead and let it pass by me to get out into the world by putting it on social media, by performing it. But I think that the vulnerability is there in the poetry for me from the outset, and it's really a question of curating that, if that makes sense.
it does. It really does. It was a great answer.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
Yes. So would you please indulge us with a piece? And I'm going to read along because I know you sent it to me and I love reading along.
Okay. This is Red Sky. The sky is red, but it isn't burning, isn't hot. And now it's full of the leather-winged heralds of hopelessness, who have screens for faces, ever broadcasting the message of their masters that something once had is lost, or at least it's fading fast. The wicked winds of change are blowing, and I am alone, driving away from the demon city, yellow lights blinking on and off and onto empty roads. And how fast I'm going doesn't matter, because there's no reason to stop. No reason for these tears, hands gripping the steering wheel, too tired to brush away the exhaustion that creeps up my shoulders to my neck. Exhaustion that is going to crawl into my ear canal and make a painful passage to my brain. Maybe it's sulfur I smell, or maybe that's my dinner riding beside me as my senseless passenger, handed to me in a bag by another lost soul, stranded in a colorful building with only the company of strangers out the window. But we didn't make eye contact for fear of seeing each other's broken heart. Now the sky is black, and my eyelids do nothing to block the sting of the taillights and stoplights out in front of me. I can feel the tower, metal fingers reaching up to reopen the wound in the belly of the beast we call the sky. And the blood looks like light shining up into clouds hanging low instead of souls raining down. For I have been in that tower, watched the goods divided, portioned out with clumsy cuts to be packed in shipping crates, bound for the money men who would never deign to be seen by eyes so unworthy, in faces black with soot.
Damn. Just
And that poem ends with a semicolon because I'm not sure if it's done yet. I feel like there could be more to say, but for the moment, I feel like that piece needs to be out there. So
yes, and I agree. It's phenomenal, and I would hope that if you do choose to do something with it, you would do a part two. You know, as
yeah,
because it's phenomenal the way it is. But I know as a poet, sometimes we're like, not sure. But you know, I just want to say, like, I mean, oh, this line of the leather wings, heralds of hopelessness. That is just phenomenal. But what I love is how you talk about, like you say you're driving, but instead of saying that you're seeing other cars, you're like yellow lights blinking on and off onto empty roads. Like it gives such a feel of there's other people there, but there's empty roads. So people are, you know, they're leaving, they're going home or they're going somewhere else. And it's just phenomenal. And you do it a few times, like you do it again later, instead of saying that, you know, it's a drive-through, you know, you go to stranded in a colorful building. And it's just so beautiful because it's it follows the sense that you're giving in this poem of everything is so void of faces and of description and, you know, beautiful, but we didn't make eye contact for fear of seeing each other's broken heart. My Lord, what a line.
thank you.
Absolutely stunning.
So that is based on a real guy. If you drove, it was a burger place that was near where I lived at the time, and it was a 24-hour joint. and I would drive up in all hours of the night, right? Because I'd been out working.
Right.
And he, through the microphone, would do like the most friendly voice. Like a lot of people thought it was a recording, you know, hey, how are you?
Right.
Welcome to Burger Place, right? And he
Right.
would do the whole, you know, you'd say, well, I'd like one without onions. Without onions, you've got it, you know. But when you drove around to pick up the order, when he came out the window, he wouldn't talk. He wouldn't say anything. He was just like, here, go. Like, and so I feel like sometimes that's, that's, you know, like us, when we're talking through a microphone, then we can put our all into it. But when it comes to actually trying to interact person to person, that can be really challenging. And I feel like in that situation, both he and I were trying to do the right thing by working, and we both felt like something was terribly wrong. And so that may have over-explained that line, but there it is.
No, I don't think it did at all, because, you know, I think there's a lot of people out there who do just that, right? Like, especially when we went through COVID, we spent a lot of time online and, you know, enjoying people's company, possibly having really great conversations. But then you get face to face with somebody, and it's like, I don't know how to act because you're not behind a screen. Like, you know, like,
Right.
I think it really changed the dynamics. And I think, you know, I think sometimes people can really be in a bubble and do what they need to do, but as soon as it comes to people, they're like,
Yeah.
So you really did explain that quite well. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Before we go any farther, I just want to acknowledge that there's some people in the room and they're making comments, and we see you, and we're so thankful for you to join us tonight. I want to thank our producer, Quentin Ford. He's behind the scenes. He's running the show. Without him, we would be lost. And this is the Let's Talk Network. So we do hope that you would like and subscribe to the channel, but also hit the notification bell so that you get notified of this show and the many others that run on this channel during the week. So back to our show. That was our little commercial break. How did I do?
That's great.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, so you know what I really wanted to ask you? I wrote these questions earlier, and I was very specific to wanting to know more about you.
Okay.
What challenges do you feel stop you from producing your work?
Ooh.
Oops, sorry.
I feel like there's a whole, you know, like the four riders of the apocalypse, right? There's the four riders of writer's block. I think there's a number of different reasons. Sometimes it's trauma. I had some stuff happen to me a few years ago, and I couldn't write right after that. I had to go for months. But it came back, you know, it's part of the healing process. So I think sometimes that, you know, too much is happening in our lives, and that disconnects, or too much is happening in my life, and that disconnects me from my writing.
Right.
Fear that just keeps coming back. That will separate me from my writing. If I don't feel like a piece is strong enough, even if it's something I really want to say, I really want to explain to people, but I don't feel like it's like it's good enough, or I'm feeling like it's extra vulnerable, and I don't know that I want to do that. My brain periodically reboots, so I can be like right in the middle of the sentence. So
yeah, that's my world.
yeah. Age.
I would like to say that your answer so far is extremely relatable.
Good.
Yeah. You know, I think I remember writing one of my most vulnerable pieces at the time, and I literally, I'm not a crier, but I literally got to the point of tears for almost a week because before I even wrote it, because I knew I was going to write it. And the problem was that I knew that if I wrote it, that I was going to share it. And
Right.
I was very, very concerned about sharing such vulnerability. And then after I wrote it, I didn't feel any better.
Huh.
You know, like I was really upset about it for another week. And then after I did share it, I was very okay with it. But, you know, that was one piece that I can say I've never experienced that before. But when I chose to become so vulnerable, like that at that depth and that particular subject, I was a mess.
Yeah.
I was a mess. And, you know, I have said it before, but I don't often share that piece nor the story, but I can clearly relate to that. You saying like, oh, if a piece is too vulnerable.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to put it out there.
No.
So yeah. Yeah. I think those are the main causes, the challenges that stop me from producing.
Yeah, it's I'm sure it's different for everybody, but I'm sure some of it is all the same. Um, what bolsters you or inspires you with your work?
Listening to and spending time in the company of other poets, going to shows, listening on open mics, going to in-person open mics, going to in-person shows. I got to participate in a show here in Charlotte Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We did the same show in person for the Guerrilla Poets.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very inspiring to be able to do that and connect with an audience in person. I think that there's a lot to be said for the online experience, and I love it. And it's definitely a way to connect with people across the globe. But there is something different about being in a room with a group of people, and in this case, we were performing primarily for non-poets, and that was really interesting too, because you know, I think with online I get kind of used to performing for poets, and that has its ups and downs, right?
Right.
But being in person again, that was pretty cool. So
Oh, congratulations! That sounds amazing.
yeah, thank you.
How did
Anytime that happens, that's when I'm getting home and I'm scribbling in my notebook, right? That's when that's when the voices start coming, right? And the words start coming. So yeah.
how did the non-poets enjoy the show?
I think they really liked it. We had people come up after the show and say that they really enjoyed it. We certainly got some good applause and engagement. I think the show was about incarceration, and it was poems written by teens that were in the juvenile detention centers. And intermixed with our poems about being trapped in incarceration. So it was an intense show. It was very intense. And it was, you know, probably about 40 minutes long, all told. So it's, you know, it was hard to be part of it. I imagine it was probably hard to be part of the audience too, for part of it. So, you know, I think, but I think that's what they were there for. In this case, it wasn't just people off the street. It was people who got tickets to come and see us. So I think that there was a desire for that kind of intensity, that kind of, you know, they were seeking it out. So
I probably personally would have enjoyed it because, like, I really like intense drama, as long as it doesn't involve me. I like drama, but not if it's no drama here.
right, right.
I try really hard to avoid drama personally, but I want to watch it. Yeah. Wow. You know what? Give us another piece, please.
Okay. Okay. This is called Lost. Lately, I can't find my words. They used to come so easily that I could choose the perfect ones. I get others' words stuck in my head, songs and slogans, their sing-song simplicity stuck on repeat, saying nothing over and over, but my own are missing. The other day, my doctor asked if I felt afraid. I tried to explain that I have an urgent need to not be wrong anymore, that I feel unbearable. But he just nodded and we moved along. Abandonment runs in my family. My people don't say goodbye when they leave. And perhaps that's because they don't have the words. So maybe I am afraid. Maybe I don't know what I'll do when the next big wave hits. Maybe I feel like my determination is waning. Maybe I fear that my mind will crack again, and what I say will only serve to send me to a place where my words mean nothing.
Damn, sir. So powerful, and I mean personally relatable. I mean, for starters, just right up here, I get others' words stuck in my head. Songs and slogans, their sing-song simplicity stuck on on repeat, saying nothing over and over. Okay, that right. I was with you. I was like, damn, I hate that too. and
Yeah, right?
and then you end that, but my own are missing. I was like, oh, he just slapped me in the face with that. Like, and here is where I felt a really deep connection with you personally. You said abandonment runs in my family.
Yeah.
My people don't say goodbye when they leave. And that hit me right here, right? Personally.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I personally love about poetry, Nemo, is that you put your vulnerability out there, and I picked it up and connected it with my vulnerability. And I appreciate you getting vulnerable in that way, because there's something I always like to say that that when we're not well, right, mentally, when we're not well, we tend to pull away. And I believe that I'll use the term the devil's work to make us feel like nobody would understand what I'm going through. Nobody knows, when the reality is, like, of course, there's lots of people in the world who go through. We're individuals, so it's an individual problem and unique to us, but there's lots of people in the world who go through something similar in their unique way. And I think that when we start to become vulnerable and shed some of our things, even in just a few lines to other people, it helps them realize, no, I am not alone in this. And I can make a connection, even if it's for this moment when I'm hearing this poet speak.
Mm.
You know?
Sounds like he agrees.
Quentin, thank you for agreeing with me, sir. That was wonderful. Thank you, Quentin. Okay. This is one of my favorite questions. I haven't asked it yet, but I love this question.
Okay.
If you could spend an afternoon with anyone, past, present, somebody who's passed on, historical, doesn't matter who you pick, who would it be and what would you ask them? Because it's a hard question. It's a hard question.
Yes. Yes. So many things going through my head right now. So I'm going to have to say it would be my grandfather, my mother's father. He was orphaned when he was a child. And we didn't have much chance. We didn't have much overlap where I was an adult and he was capable of having a conversation with me about it. But we did have a few conversations. Mm-hmm. And I think that legacy of damage, that he didn't, his dad betrayed him by leaving. And he had to fight that demon his entire life. And I think I would just want to ask him to share those experiences with me. How did he succeed? How did he fail? How did he fight his fight so that I can, that I could really learn from that? I think it's unfortunate that I didn't have a chance to talk to him in the way that we could communicate on that level, right? That I knew what questions to ask.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's would be my answer right now.
And you have a book. I mean, I absolutely love that answer. So I'm kind of going to expand on that. So you have a book right now. Can you tell us a little bit about your book, please?
Yeah, it is all handwritten. So I got a Japanese calligraphy pen. It's right here. This is my calligraphy pen, and I wrote out a lot of my micro poems. I think it's about 25 in the book. And then I had a friend of mine from high school, very, very talented illustrator, do the illustrations that are interspersed through the book. And I laid the book out in 3 parts. So the first part are poems about being in the midst of the hardest part of it. And then the second part is about turning the corner. And then the third part is about achieving some sense of peace, or at least some, idea of or ability to go forward. Right. So in the third part is where I have the paper warrior piece that you said you would that were inspired by. And because that's a piece about recognizing my own determination. Right. Yeah. So if you go to nemosumwords.com, you can download a digital copy. So when I was about to publish my book, the pandemic hit, and I thought, this book is about my journey, and if it's going to help people, then I'm just going to put it out there. And so if you would like to download a copy, please do.
I'm going to do that right after the show. What I wanted to say was that I love that you're a poet. And I love that you wrote a story in your poems. You write a story in your poems. I can see that. And what I love about you putting out a book is that you have done for generations that come after you in your family what you could not do with your grandfather. You've left something of a mark for them if they can speak to you or they never met you. that they could go back and read and learn something about you. And I think it's such a beautiful thing.
Thank you. That's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So, let me see the time. Okay, so just making sure that we're all on track here.
Yeah.
So was not prepared for this, nor were you, but would it be okay if I asked you to read Paper Warrior as well?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay. This poem I just adore. This poem is so inspiring to me.
And we give it back to you.
Okay.
The people.
All right. I'm the paper warrior, and I fight the wind. No matter how many times I get blown down, I get back up to be blown down again. I don't think of myself as weak, maybe brave, determined. I hope that I'm not a fool to keep fighting, but it's possible. I am the paper warrior, and I fight the wind.
So beautiful.
Thank you.
Really an inspiring piece. He really liked that.
Yes, extra inspired.
He really, really liked that. Or he pressed the button twice by accident. No, I find that piece completely inspiring, completely relatable. Everybody goes through something where they feel like they've been kicked down, or is in the poem blown down, and you have to get up, and yes, you're blown down again, but like you get up again.
Right.
And you do what you need to do. And even if sometimes in that we feel half-hearted about what we're doing because we're just going through the motions, but we still got up. And that's what that piece speaks to me. Just love that piece. Thank you so much for indulging us.
Thank you. Absolutely. It's a piece about having a mood disorder, as many of my pieces ultimately are. But it's an insurmountable the odds. With sometimes with mood disorders, there is no fully healing from it. It's a healing process, but that it's never going to go away. It's never going to be gone.
Right.
And I think for a long time that really bothered me. That really got into my head and into my heart, really, is that I felt like I can't win. There's no way I can win. But I think getting to the point where I can write this piece, getting to a point where I can recognize that that's okay. All of us, there's going to be one thing that's going to take us out, and then that we're not going to come back from it. But not today,
Right.
Not
today. It's not today.
And so you're right. We have to get back up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have a mood crash. It's going to happen. It may not happen today. It may happen tomorrow. But I can't let that stop me from, when it's not affecting me, of living as much as I can a full and complete life.
Right. Yes. And you know what? That is the blessing that you've gotten that far, such. And sorry, my cat just came in. Live TV problems. You've gotten that far to the point where you can say, I accept this. And I think that sometimes we feel like acceptance is defeating.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like, well, if I accept this, then I'm accepting defeat. And that's not necessarily the case. That's like one of those things that we tell ourselves so that we don't do it, right? In my case anyways. But
Sure.
I think acceptance is a beautiful thing, because we can start to move forward instead of constantly having this argument and arguing with ourselves about what stage we're in and how this is working out, and fighting against it, the paper warrior. But yeah, I do want to ask, Nemo, thank you. Currently I need to brush my hair. Huh? Can you go find Daddy? Oh boy. So what I was going to ask you was, what would you feel comfortable telling us about, like, how you decided that you were going to get involved in, like, the guerrilla poets and become vulnerable and explain yourself to the world, to allow that to come out, and what what has that done for you to be able to do that? And I'm going to turn my mic off and try and do something here, but I am fully listening.
Okay. All right. So I wrote this poem. Depression came by today with my bridle to remind me to put it on and to let me know how disappointed she is in me for not wearing it. I wrote this piece. It was one of the ones that kind of came into my head fully formed, and I kept hearing it, so I wrote it down. And I took it to my therapist, and she liked it so much that she asked me if I would be willing to, like, write it out. So I painted it. I painted it out because, it's a micropoem. So it fit on one page. And I decided to have it framed. So I took it to the local framer, and I gave it, and they put a really nice frame on it. And when I came back to pick it up, the framer said, did you write this? And I said, yeah. And she was just suddenly, there was a connection. There was a human connection. And she was so grateful. She said, oh, this piece, this is so, for her was transformative, right? And to realize that could happen, that these things that I needed to say, that I needed to get out on paper, could help other people that are experiencing these things, but maybe don't have the words to describe them. Not in that way. Mm-hmm. That, as you were talking about before, that phenomenon, that amazing thing where two people come together, share vulnerability, yes, and achieve a great freedom and healing that comes from that, right?
Right.
So to recognize that was there, I think at that point, given the nature of me, who I am as a person, there's no point at any of thinking of doing anything else at that point. Once I realized that my poems could be helpful to other people, that they could help and have helped people to say things that they felt that they weren't otherwise able to. Well, I'm dropped everything else.
Right.
And yeah, I want to do that. So that's what I do.
Nemo, I love that story, and I have heard it once before, some time ago. And when you're retelling it now, I heard it differently. Like, it's the same message, but I heard it differently. And my thought as you were saying that was that you were meant to go to that printer and connect with that person with your poetry. And that, I always find, I don't think there's coincidences. So, I just believe that that was an incredible gift. And yeah. I love that story. I love it.
Thank you.
Oh, please. Can I get you to read your next piece?
Yeah. So my next piece is a micro triptych.
Explain
It
it.
is, yeah. So it's 3 thematically connected micro poems.
Mhm.
It is really the solution to a problem, which is how to perform micro poetry on an open mic. Is if I
Right.
try to come in with a poem, with a micro poem, just about the time that that the audience has settled into listening to me, I'm done. Right, the micro poem is over. So so a micro triptych takes 3 micro poems together to extend the time, but also to give it more depth. How the 3 poems talk to one another is sort of the reason why the micro triptych exists.
Hi, I'm back.
All right.
I was just booted right out of the studio.
Uh,
I was like, what?
wouldn't you know?
Right?
So I was explaining the micro triptych,
Yes.
that it's
And
3
I'm
thematically connected micro poems.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you do that, and I can completely understand how going up on stage, because I write micros as well, and my micros are shorter than yours. So I could imagine going up on stage and giving my you know, your blood, I am innocence. We loved until I understood. Mic drop.
Right. Right. Right.
See ya. People are
Yeah.
like, what just happened here? Yeah. So I love what you've done with this, and with no further ado, as long as I stay on the screen, let us hear it.
Okay. Depression has been sitting on my couch today, making exasperated noises, carefully interjecting in the quiet moments what could have been if I wasn't such a disappointment. Despair is close by. I can smell her hiding and waiting for me to come and find her so that she can hold me until there is only breath and pain, because there is always pain. Do you ever have a day where you don't want to be awake, but staying in bed means more nightmares? Do you ever get up to find depression waiting in the hallway in all her splendor? Do you ever feel like you're trapped in a glass box and you can't touch anything? Everything is separated from you by a cool, lifeless pain. Do you ever get to the point where you haven't eaten because that would require making a decision, and that's too much to ask right now? Do you ever believe that everyone is upset and disappointed in you? You've used up the last of your friends' goodwill and support, and now you truly are alone. Do you ever sense that your messages aren't getting through, your words wasted, sent into the empty? Do you ever feel sad, and the only reason is that your mood has decided to fuck with you today? Do you ever want to scream? Do you ever need to cry? Do you ever have one of those days? Help wanted, urgent to fill. Must have experience with crisis and crashes and crying. Must know interventions, be able to read intentions, be okay with failing. Must be able to handle doubt. Perfect candidate has been broken, has been hopeless, has been lost. Must be able to find the light at the end of the tunnel, or at least never stop trying. Serious inquiries only.
I must say, the whole poem,
Thank you.
all 3 poems were just heartbreakingly beautiful. Very very vulnerable, and my goodness, such a great line. Making exasperated noises, carefully interjecting in the quiet moments. Oh, stunning. But so relatable too, right? Like, I mean, where's that line, right? I'm finding it. Yeah, where you haven't eaten because that would require making a decision. You know, it sounds funny, but it is so true. If you've ever experienced something like that, where, you know, it's too much, it's too heavy of a burden to be bothered with that decision. And, you know, I just, and do you ever believe that everyone is upset and disappointed in you? You know, you used up the last of your friends' goodwill and support, and now you're truly alone. Like, you know, and that my first thought is, if you've ever been there and you've come out of it, it's a trickery of the mind.
Yeah.
You know, to keep you where you are, and it's so unfair.
Depression isolates, depression kills.
Right?
Right?
Yeah, and you say it right here. Mood has decided to fuck with you today. And I love that, because I don't often swear in my poems, but there are maybe like one handful of poems that I have where I have, and to me, it has to be put in the right place for the right reason, you know, to really highlight something, and you've done it well. You've done it well. It's very well placed, and you know, if your mood has ever fucked with you, you know what this line means. You know, and I just love the help wanted, because even that serious inquiry is only the way you ended that piece, like fire. You, as I started the show, I said that I'm a fan of yours, and this interview has only deepened my fandom.
I'm glad.
You know, I like you as a person. Oh. I like you as a person, and I admire your poetry. I admire the vulnerability that you bring to it, because I myself know what it is to bring it. And I believe that if you are a true writer in any sense, if you are not bringing vulnerability to what you're doing, you're missing that connection with your audience. You're missing out on the opportunity to become self-aware and to heal yourself and others, you know, potentially others. So when I see that, and I know I'm not the only person who feels like that in our community that you and I run the streets in, but I, you know, it's the consensus, even if they word it differently. Although I think I did a great job.
Me too.
Oh, well, thank you. I got a little extra laughter there. And you missed my cat made an entrance while you were
Oh no.
the cat decided to crawl back there, so she was interested in your feast as well.
Cats are big fans. I can't help it. They're really into my work.
Yeah, well, she was right in there. You guys couldn't see her, but she sat on my armchair and was just staring for a while. So, hey.
Yeah, when I'm performing, I try to get something to dingle dangle while I'm doing it. Right.
You carry a pocket full of catnip with you.
Right. There you go.
Right? Just well, I think we've kind of segued into our we're gonna do our segment, which is the shenanigan parts of it. And I don't know if Quentin has the little promo.
Back to you, the people.
No, not that one. The picture. But anyways, this, we're gonna slide into the fun part of the show. This is called Play Stupid Games, Win Stupid Prizes. All right. Thank you. Do you secretly bring stuff home from hotel rooms? And if you do, what is it?
It's the little soaps, the little soaps and the little shampoos and all of those. Yeah, I'll clear them
Why
out.
does everybody just take the soaps? I leave the soaps and take the towels. Come to my house, man. You're at a hotel. I have like all white towels. I'm just saying. Yeah, when I travel, I'm like, get the towels. Make room in your suitcase. All right. Do you like chocolate covered raisins?
Sometimes I'm not a big raisin person. I feel like there we go.
Okay, well, I have a box of glossettes for you for that, and unfortunately, I did eat them.
Oh, yeah, they didn't make. So you like chocolate covered raisin? Yes,
I do. Can you say this in the meanest voice that you can? I like marshmallows in my hot chocolate.
I like marshmallows in my hot chocolate.
I just want to say that wasn't as mean as I thought you could do.
Oh.
Is it true that you're afraid of staying home alone?
I'm sorry?
Is it true that you're afraid of staying home alone?
Well, I've always got my little dog with me, so it's impossible for me to be home alone.
All right. Who would be the first person on your hit list?
Oh, wow. I'm editing all the answers that would be inappropriate.
I know, right? You're like,
that person might.
If I tell them that, then I might be a suspect.
Yeah, that's a bit of a. You're gonna pull out a notepad? Oh, okay, all right, yeah. Something tells me I would see that document again in court. Right?
No.
Oh, it says right here that you were going to take out Mrs. Smith.
I'd say, do you know Nemo Sum? I'd say, no, I don't think so.
You could say, I know nobody.
I know nobody.
You're a crumb creep coward. I want to fight you. What?
Kind of a clip in there. This is a pretty serious question, actually. Though it's part of the Shenanigans, because I want to know people's answer to this, right? Because I'm worried about it. So, how long do you think you would survive in a zombie apocalypse?
Oh, matter of hours. Yeah, my skill set does not translate well into a post-apocalyptic environment.
Right.
I think they'll eat the poets first, right?
Right. I'm with you on that one. I'm with you on that one because I don't run well, and and I freak out very easily. So people would be, and you're not with us. You are not with our group.
We have an irritating tendency to point out the truth as we see it. We definitely, poets get eaten first.
I have an irritably bad tendency to scream very loudly when I'm scared. So, how many chickens do you think it would take to kill an elephant?
Well, I mean, if sufficiently smart and knows kung fu, maybe just one chicken.
Kung Fu chicken wings.
Kung fu chicken, right?
Oh my God, I just had a vision. I can see it happening. All right, so I'm gonna dig through the prizes here, and I'm coming up with one for you. So you have won the get out of jail free card from Monopoly. Yeah, let's talk. Let's talk says that the other game pieces and board are sold separately.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Next question. Nemo some words. Soom words. I always say some.
It's okay.
Nemo soom words. What is the most annoying color?
Yellow.
Yellow?
Yeah. Yellow. The light's about to change. Yellow. I would never wear a yellow sweater. Yeah. Yellow, definitely.
I'm with you. My mom painted her kitchen yellow and I thought it was god awful. I was horrified.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would you rather have a salad for a head or broccoli for arms?
I guess I'm gonna have to go with broccoli arms. I think I'm gonna have to go with broccoli. Yeah.
You know, I think the best thing I love about doing this segment with you is that, like, you take the questions like so seriously. You're like, oh, salad head with broccoli arms. I love it.
Well, I want to give it
like,
the due consideration that it deserves. You know,
cracking a gut because you're like, oh, what do I say? You didn't laugh at anything I said. You're like, Fantastic. Well, you know what? I want to thank you so much. We had a lot of fun here tonight. So,
yes, we did.
For the shenanigans part of this, I want to give you, the booby prize. So I would like to give you a half-used bar of soap and send that to you.
Oh, awesome. I look forward to using the other half.
Well, as we said, I would like to remind everybody this is play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Nemo Soom, I have had a wonderful evening with you, and I've really enjoyed my time with you. I want to leave this last part where I can open to you to say, like, what would you like your audience? What would you like to tell your audience? Is there anything that you would like to cover or say?
Yeah. You are not alone. We are in this together. We really are. And I think that we can work to bridge the gaps and bring people together. And when we do, we get to participate in this miracle that you and I have been talking about this evening, where by bringing our vulnerability together, we're able to share that, we're able to come together. Two humans are hard to beat. You asked the question about how many chickens would it take to bring down an elephant. Well, two humans are pretty hard to beat. We are more than the sum of our parts often. That's one of the things that makes humans successful.
That is so beautiful, and you have made me recognize, like, I feel the same way. I feel that there is a collective of people who I have met on IG, and some of them have come into this room to support you in this interview. And I'll take that as support of the show as well. And they are dear to my heart. And there's other people that I've met on IG as well through poetry who I feel so connected to you, and I made some pretty tight friendships. Um, and I don't think that I could do without them in times of need, in times of joy. And I feel the same because, when we do things together for the community, for the joy and health of others, collectively, we are unstoppable. And I think you nailed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have made some dear, dear friends in workshops, and when we're able to be vulnerable, when I'm brave enough to be vulnerable, I get to meet these amazing people who are also being brave, so that we get to make that connection. So, yeah.
I think you have catnip in your pockets again, sir.
Again, yes, it's the dingle dangles. So,
Right.
yeah.
I think you spoke that brilliantly, and I'm so happy that we connected, and that I get to hear your poetry. It gives me great joy, and I know. Thank you. I know that you have heard the piece that was inspired by your paper warrior. So, I thank you for being an inspiration in the community and being vulnerable with your poetry. Your poetry is healing people and letting them recognize that they are not alone. And I don't know if people have told you that, or maybe told you recently, but I just want to make sure that you know that we see you and we see what you're doing, and it is a positive force that you are bringing, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That means the world to me.
Um, you know what? I'm going to do something a little bit different tonight because we still do have a few minutes left, and
Okay.
I want to bring our producer down. I want to
Okay.
bring Quentin down. He's like, what? Hey, Quentin, can you show up for us? Thanks, sir. Quentin, I know that you're not a poet, but I know that you doing these shows that you are around poetry a lot. And I kind of want to put you on the spot for a second and just ask you, can you give some feedback on how you felt about Nemo Soom's poetry tonight?
Oh, you have all types of different poetry that I hear every. Can you hear me?
Just a little bit louder.
Yeah. Now, can you hear me? You have all types of poetry that I hear on a daily, and sometimes a person's poetry through their own struggles can uplift others. One of the things that you said, Nemo, that I think resonates with anybody that will watch the show or has been watching the show is nobody is alone. We were created one of the reasons why we were created was to socialize. And we socialize because we're all going through what we call the human experience.
Right.
So something that I may think is small, you may think is big, and vice versa. And the only way that I can know that it's normal is I share my experiences with you, and you share your experiences with me. And then we realize it's just part of life. It's just something that we all go through. And then we
Yeah.
realize, oh, it ain't that serious. Like you said during one of your poems. I think you said it during the poem. You're gonna have those days. It's ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
And the thing sometimes is, and I heard this today, in order to appreciate your wins, you have to lose. That's the only way. And I'm a firm believer of that. Um, because sometimes when we have a task, we think it's just going to happen overnight or happen when we want it to happen, and that's just not going to happen that way. Life is not that way. So your poetry, you have a gift. One of the things that most people may not realize is that it is art. It's timeless. It doesn't have an expiration date. So be able to share your gift, not just with people that watch, but with the world. Your book is timeless. It's there. So you can go 200-300 years, and unless the planet and people cease to exist, your book will be here long before you're gone. So think about that.
Yeah.
As a creator, and understand not the, I won't say burden that's been placed on you, the responsibility. Being able to convey your message to a lot of other people who may need it.
I love that. I really do love that. And I just felt like there was something that was, because we have really great conversations after the show off screen. And I just felt like I wanted you to come down and be on screen for this part, because I feel like Nemo's words are so not spoken enough by other people who probably go through the same thing, and they are poets or writers. And I just, it's dear to my heart because I go through something else in a different way and I connect to it. So I just felt that it was really special. And I know that Quentin is not a poet, but he is very well spoken and he does hang around a lot of poets. I don't know why he hangs around poets when he doesn't. What's that about?
It's always a pleasure, and like I said, it's the gift of the artist. Whether you're someone who paints, draws, sings, it's a gift, and it's an opportunity to speak for someone who can't speak. Everybody's not able, like I said, everybody's not able to even express themselves in a casual conversation, let alone be able to write and say poetry, like you said during the show. Virtual poetry is so much different than live poetry. Person may have stage fright. And we noticed it in the chat, it's easier for you guys sometimes to do poetry amongst non-poets, because non-poets may not come with the critical eye that other poets may come with, the judgment. So anytime you have an opportunity, like I said, to share your gift, which your gift is you, number one, to share your gift with amongst people, don't take that for granted, because you never know who's listening. You never know who you're inspiring to push the extra mile. Because a lot of us are at the cliff. We want to jump, not in a bad way, but we're at the cliff.
Sure.
We're at the cliff. We're at the cliff to success, and nothing. I don't care what it is, where they're successful in life. You are never going to be successful if you don't work hard for it. It's just not going to happen.
Great facts.
It's not going to happen.
While you were speaking, Quentin, I had something really funny to say, and I lost it. So I'm kind of it was funny.
But it was going to be great.
It was going to be funny, but I decided not to interrupt you. And this is why I interrupt people.
You were saying your name. It's funny, and one of the things that Valerie and me will try to do is sometimes with having the Shenanigans part of the show, and this is going to let everybody in the chat know who may come on the show, is it's very hard to do a show spontaneously with comedy because you don't know the tempo of the show. But the very interesting thing, right, when you said your name, what your name meant, right? I don't know if you're a football fan, Nemo, but you look just like Brian Dable. I don't know if you know who Brian Dable is, but I was going to put a picture up during the show and just leave it there. I swear you look just like Brian Dable. Google him, and you look like Brian Dable. You're going to be shocked.
What team does he play for?
He's the coach of the Giants.
Okay, and where is the Giants?
in New York.
Nemo, you need
I
to
have
go
a
to New York.
I have a
New
friend
York.
that looks like him, like you, Nemo. He looks
Oh,
exactly
Okay,
like
wow.
you. He has a
wait,
thicker beard.
wait. Nemo, you need to go to New York, stand outside of the stadium, and sign autographs.
I'm telling you, if you put a Giant jacket on and he drives a pickup truck, because he has a little swagger to him,
Yeah.
you look like Brian Dable. Everybody in the chat, go Google Brian Dable. That's Nemo.
That's what we're doing.
There is there is a passing resemblance. Yeah.
Okay, he looked it up. Do we get to see what you looked up, or do I have to? Let me see. Add something up. I'm going to do it. Brian Gable.
Dable. With a
What?
D.
Oh, D.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't going to get the right search from that. Oh, man. I'm not going to get the right search for. All right, that ship sailed.
There it goes.
Just done. Like sailing down, that's gone. You know what? I just from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you for coming on the show. You know, we chatted back and forth. I'm really excited about having you here. And I know the streets that we run on, we call that an IG, right? But it's always a pleasure when we connect. And, you know, I hope that we get to have some fun and also some serious poetry with you again another time. And I look forward
I'd
to
love
seeing
that.
you. So I just want to let you know that when this show is posted, there will be an opportunity for you to come back in and make some comments. And I would like to encourage you to put in how people can find you.
Okay.
And your book and all that, because you know people come and see this and then they can get that information right away. So
Okay.
I want you to have that success if somebody's looking and is like, oh, where is his book? I want to get it, or just find you on social media. So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, I'll do that.
yeah, it's been a big pleasure, as I just finished saying, so I felt like I needed to say it again for some reason.
Thank you.
But
Well, I have had a wonderful time. So thank you so much for having me. It's just, you're right. In an open mic environment, you don't have time to get to know people. And it's nice. It's nice to have someone interested to ask, you know, these interesting questions and make me think and reflect.
Are you speaking about the salad for head or broccoli for arms?
I am totally talking about that, because then there's that question of whether it's cheddar, right? Do you wear cheddar on the broccoli?
I know,
or
right?
or yeah.
As accessories.
Right. No, yeah.
Cheddar
Melted, right.
I'm the
Of
queen
course,
of
then it's like a
accessorizing.
yellow sweater.
I am the queen of accessorizing. So you come to me when you need that. You're like, yeah, we can talk about whether we use cheddar or marble or mozzarella. I just had so much fun with you. So thank you so much. We are going to close the show. As you know, stick around. Thank you, Quentin, for joining us on the screen. I know he's like going to give me a what for after, but I take it. So everybody, thank you so much for joining us, whether it was live or in replay. We really appreciate you. This is Nemo Soom Words. You can find him on IG at Nemo_Soom, SUM_words. And in his bio, you can find the link to his book. Do follow him. He's a wonderful poet. Definitely like and subscribe to this page, and then hit the notification bell so that you can get notified of this show, because you watched it, so it must be good. And all the others that are on this channel, which I haven't watched them all, so I don't know if they're good, but get notified and find out if they are. So, but we really appreciate you here. We appreciate the time that you took, Nemo Soom. We appreciate the watchers and the looky-loos too. So,
yes.
We are going to sign off. So as soon as the producer decides to click the button, bye-bye.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for coming. It was great.
It was. Thank you. Okay, hit the button, dude.
There's one thing I want you to do for me.
What?
Come here.
What?
Win